Today's picks are not only similar in that they both start with UN, but they also are throwbacks to some pretty big blockbuster horror movies of the past. The Best of the Best in Horror Countdown looks at the best horror films released between October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2020. Let's get dirty. Welcome to the official Best in Horror 2019-2020 countdown on ML Miller Frights, a part of the Kings of Horror Network. I'm ML Miller. Be sure to give this video a like, share with your buddies across the electronic superhighway, click subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to ring that bell for notifications. If you're in the Chicago area and love horror, you have no excuse not to head out to the Chi-Town Movies Drive-In for the Music Box of Horrors. Every day in October for 31 nights, there will be late shows Sunday through Thursday and double features every Friday and Saturday night. Every weekend is themed: Grindhouse Fridays, Rip-Off Saturdays, and Sequel Sundays. Tonight they're playing Psycho 3, one of the better sequels in a very strong and very scary Psycho series, which was revitalized in the 80s. Look below for a link to the schedule, where to get tickets, and directions to this awesome event. Number 21 is Underwater. It was released on January 10th, 2020, and it's available on digital download, on demand, and on Blu-ray DVD from 20th Century Fox. Underwater was directed by William Eubank and written by Brian Duffield and Adam Cozad. Underwater hits the ground running as the film opens pretty much the same way the trailer did. It's the near future, and mechanical engineer Nora, Kristen Stewart, is brushing her teeth in her undies in a very nipply and steel-plated bathroom until an earthquake shakes the deep-sea drilling station positioned on the Mariana Trench. As she frantically makes her way through the corridors, attempting to outrun the rushing water and increasing pressure, only to find herself one of the very few survivors of the massive quake. With communication cut off from the other subsea bases and the land above, it's up to the survivors to suit up in high-pressure deep-sea diving gear and walk the 3 miles across the ocean floor to get to the one sub-base that still seems to be functional. As they exit the flooding station, they soon realize that they are not alone in the pitch-dark water. I really dug this movie. The pace and level of intensity begins strong and continues with a simple breakneck forward momentum. Right from the get-go, the film plans out a simple objective: travel across the highly pressurized and equally dangerous ocean floor 3 miles to get to safety. In many ways, this film plays out like a video game, but it's the simplicity of this plot that makes it all the more engaging. Once the goal is set, the film makes it clear what the objective is and makes a beeline to it. Even though I'm not a fan of the way she presents herself in real life, I have to admit Kristen Stewart fills the lead role quite capably. Some well-placed scratches and bumps, and Stewart's gruff and go-get-'em attitude helps make her a likable protagonist worth investing in. The rest of the cast flesh out some common tropes characters that we've seen in everything from The Abyss to Alien to Aliens. Because this film hits the ground running, it leaves little time for us to get to know the crew past their surface-level traits and occupations. I think that's why the filmmakers behind Underwater smartly based the characters on well-known roles from previous iconic films. It's a sort of filmmaking shortcut that enables the viewer to get to know the characters without any time wasted in exactly doing so. Still, I think some of the more subtle points, such as Nora's relationship with another crew member from a neighboring base and a relationship between two cast members that I really didn't get until mid-movie, could have been developed a little bit more. But this is a big action movie, with big set pieces set up to challenge our heroes over and over again. So a lack of backstory and characterization is sort of par for the course. These action scenes are really thrilling, though, utilizing the lack of light on the ocean floor and the flashlights mounted on the deep sea suits in some scenes that end up being downright terrifying at times. Eubank not only knows how to build tension, but he delivers the payoff in spades. Still, because this is such an alien-esque film and told in such a linear fashion, I found it to be pretty predictable at times. Looking at the cast roster, you can almost pick the order of death without even seeing the movie. Let's not get into the fact that the cliched black guy dies first pastiche is alive and well in Underwater. But when it's time for Nora to step up to take command, you can guess who's on the chopping block. When it's time to stop joking around and get serious, you know who's about to bite it. Because these characters are walking in a line towards their goal, it pretty much seals the fate of whomever is in last place. I don't think it's a spoiler that there is something alive down there in the deep sea and threatening the crew as they make their journey. I found the action sequences starring these creatures to be a lot of fun, but I do feel that their design is far from iconic. The monsters are simply a mass of chomping teeth and flailing tentacles. They're kind of indistinguishable because of the murky lighting, the speed of their movement, and the complexity of their look. In true video game fashion, there not only are smaller monster challenges, but there's also a big boss to take on. And if you thought the underlings lacked distinguishing traits, you're going to be frustrated as all get out at the way the big bad is presented. While the beasts surely look formidable and monstrous, they lack that iconic look seen in movies like Alien and Predator. Despite its faults, Underwater does a fantastic job of mixing sci-fi, horror, and action, never forgetting to have some moments with heart and humor speckled in for good measure. It's an all-around satisfying blockbuster-style film, and there aren't many of those around these days. I love the fast pace. The cast is pretty phenomenal, even though the characters they're playing are familiar. There's a ton of jump-back-in-your-seat moments, and the whole film has a level of tension that is communicated in a deft and targeted manner. This film even got me to stomach Kristen Stewart for an hour and a half. Director William Eubank delivers a film that feels like an alien movie without the aliens. It's not as campy as Deep Blue Sea or Deep Rising, and it's much more commercial than The Abyss. All in all, it's a pretty perfect action horror crowd pleaser, and I recommend it for anyone missing that blockbuster feel during these lockdown times. Another film that follows the well-tread, big-budget Hollywood horror format is Uncaged. It was released on March 17, 2020, and it's available on demand, digital download, and streaming on Shudder. The film was directed by Dick Maas. Big animal veterinarian Lizzie, Sophie Van Winden, teams up with the police when a house outside of Amsterdam is attacked by some kind of animal. Though she identifies the beast as a giant lion, the local police station refuses to believe that such a beast could be roaming Amsterdam and mauling civilians. But when the body count rises, Lizzie calls in her old flame Jack, played by Mark Frost, to take the monster down. Not impressed with the wheelchair-bound hunter, the local police decide to call in their own special forces team, but when they're massacred, it's all on Jack and Lizzie to bring the beast in, for more Dutchmen and women end up as the lion's main course. Dick Maas was the twisted mind behind such fantastic Dutch horrors as Amsterdam and The Lift. And while I don't think Uncaged is breaking new ground, the film is just as entertaining as Maas's previous films. It's your typical wild monster on the loose story that uses cliches found in everything from Jaws to Alligator, from frogs to deadly eyes, from Kingdom of Spiders to Food of the Gods. There's the authorities who don't take things seriously until it's way too late. There's the sending in of the experts only to have them decimated and dismembered. There's the lone scientist struggling to be heard. And there's the public not paying attention to the rules and going out anyway. Sound familiar? What makes Uncaged so much fun is that writer-director Dick Maas fills it with so much mayhem. There's carnage to the nth degree, as the lion doesn't discriminate in terms of age, sex, or gender when it comes to his meals. Just when you think you've been bogged down too long with discourse from a reporter, politician, or expert in the field, Maas makes sure to show an imaginative scene of carnage with heaping amounts of blood and body parts. The characters are fun too, with Lizzie deciding whether or not to stick with her philandering boyfriend Dave, played by Julian Luman, even though he's an asshole who seems to have slept with every girl in town. Yet because Lizzie is stressed, she continues to sleep with him as a distraction. Renus Kroll plays Brinkers, an uptight and hair-deficient cop who pops Mentos every chance he gets, and is the stressed-out middleman between the public and the politicians. And finally Jack, the one-legged lion hunter who is wheelchair-bound, yet gung-ho to take on the beast with his high-powered rifle, a gut full of whiskey, and a souped-up mobile tank as a wheelchair. This is one fun cast that makes even the slower bits interesting to watch. Uncaged does have that cheesy sci-fi channel quality to it. There are a few times when the CG is not the best, and the lion just feels animated wonkily. Still, because of the aforementioned gore, likable characters, and hyperactive script, I forgave the film for its technical setbacks. I enjoyed Uncaged so much that I didn't even notice until the end that they didn't really explain why there was a lion on the loose in Amsterdam in the first place. While it is a cheap Lion on the Loose movie, it's an unabashedly watchable Lion on the Loose movie. That'll be it for today. Check back in tomorrow for my next pick in the countdown. Please chime in down in the comments and let me know what you think of these films, how on the nose or mind-numbingly wrong I am, or you can counter with your own list. If you like this video, please pound that thumbs up button. Share this video with your social media addicted pals. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on mlmillerwrites.com. That's where you can also find a continuation of this countdown. Don't forget, I have 2 new horror comic book trade paperbacks you should look for. GRAVETRANCERS is out right now, and Pirouette collects never-before-published issues that will be out late in November, early December. Diamond order code APR 201712. And be sure to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell for alerts to be the first to see my future videos. Thank you so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. You're doomed. Live the life that you are meant to be. Live inside that